Please turn your attention now to the monitors for our next alumnus.
Jody Stevens is a bona fide rock star who's been an influential force in the music industry for more than 35 years. But you'd never know it by his unassuming presence.
Jody is the nicest person I've ever met in the music business.
In the 1970s, Jody became the drummer for the Memphis-based band Big Star, which recorded at Ardent Studios.
Big Star, yeah, it's probably, in a way, the most famous band you've never heard of. I mean, that's a good way of putting it. They are sort of the quintessential cult band.
Big Star's music influenced numerous acclaimed artists.
The Memphis chapter of the Recording Academy honored Big Star in 2004. Then Mike Mills from REM came in to do the tribute to them and basically said, you know, without Big Star, there's no REM. And I think they really pointed the way for a lot of bands that became really big in the 80s.
All three of Big Star's releases are listed in Rolling Stone's 500 greatest albums of all time.
There are some drummers that are amazingly technically proficient. They can do all kinds of things, and Jody is proficient technically, but I think the thing that people connect with in terms of his musicianship is the kind of warmth and personality that he puts into his, just the little touches, whether it's a fill or whatever he's doing just behind the kit, it's kind of an extension of who he is.
Jody got his degree from U of M in 1984 and went to work for Ardent Studios, where he currently serves as studio manager.
He's very civic-minded and sees music not just as entertainment, but as an economic development engine for the community.
Jody supports U of M's Fogelman College of Business and Economics and is an active member of the Alumni Association. He's also active as a trustee for the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences.
Well, Jody loves Memphis, and he loves Memphis music and the history of Memphis music. He's certainly could be described as a cheerleader for Memphis and for everything about Memphis music, past, present, and future.
Jody Stevens, music legend, arts activist, and all-around nice guy.
Jody, congratulations, it's well-deserved. Who would have thought back in the day when we were both going to then Memphis State University that a rock and roll drummer would get a Distinguished Alumni Award. I'm very proud of you.
Congratulations, Jody Stevens, 2011 University of Memphis Distinguished Alumnus.
Please join me in welcoming Distinguished Alumnus, Mr. Jody Stevens.
Big Star was recorded that song that you're just listening to in 1973. Time passes very quickly. Thank you so much, Deanie. Thanks to Dr. Raines and the National Alumni Association and the University of Memphis. This is such a wonderful honor for me and my family. I can't tell you how moved I am by this. Interesting, I got an email from a friend of mine that living in Santa Monica, and got it yesterday, and he said, I'm sitting here in the 3rd Street Promenade Apple store in Santa Monica, and right now In the Street, which is a Big Star song, is playing through the store. Amazing. I never thought I'd hear Big Star playing in a place like this. Sounds great, but then again, we already knew it. Very sweet of him. And I emailed back and I said, well, here's another who would have thunk it. I said, I'm receiving the Distinguished Alumni Award from the University of Memphis tomorrow. And he emailed back and said, you're right, that ranks up there pretty highly with who would have thunk it. So I share this award with quite a few people, and I thank God for all of them. My parents, Rose and Jim Stevens, whose love and understanding, moral support and guidance when wavering. My mom's here tonight. Thank you, Mom. My dad must be looking down and saying, "That's my boy." He was and is my role model for how to be a gentleman. So for any credit, any nice guy credit, I can just hand over to my dad. My wife Diana for her love, support, and joy for my pursuit of music, wherever in this world that it might take me. And it's going to take me away a lot coming up here soon. She has been my love and my best friend for 28 years now. My brother Jimmy, he's in the audience as well, with my mom, who always included me in his bands and was, I should say, benevolent taskmaster when it came to practicing. Nice little push every now and then. John Fry, a very special human being in my life. John makes dreams come true. I think he and I always thought that Ardent Studios was there to help people realize their dreams. And John has certainly helped me realize mine, starting with Big Star and or Chris and Andy, Chris Bell and Andy Hummel and Alex Chilton in the early 70s. He helped us to realize our dream of making some wonderful music together. It was along with John and his brilliant audio engineering skills that Big Star produced 3 albums that have touched listeners around the world over the last 36 years or so. When we first released those first 3 albums that were talked about being in Rolling Stone, it was 72, 74, and the third was completed in 75, but it was pretty radical and nobody would release it until 78. We didn't have an audience then. We had an audience of rock writers, and we were on the 18 to 20 year marketing program. I think Dr. John Pepin would have been surprised and shocked at that program. Chris Bell, Alex Chilton, Andy Hummel, and John Fry have pretty much defined the direction of my life since 1970, and I am so grateful to them for that. There are many wonderful professors that I had at university. Actually, I was on the 14-year program at the university. I started in 1970 and graduated in 1984. Thank you. I call myself an incrementalist. But I think Joe Corson was the first English professor I had the first semester, and Joe really taught me that it really is all about teaching, and it's not teacher versus student. I had a sales teacher, and I can't remember his name, but he taught me the importance of being on time, which I was tonight, by calling me out for being late on the first day of class. I walked in the door, and he pointed me out, and it's the best lesson I could have ever learned. I thank him for that. Dr. Dubke, my accounting professor, in addition to balance sheets and income statements, she taught me the definition of professionalism. And I mentioned Dr. John Pepin. He made his marketing class so fascinating that I changed my major from accounting to marketing. So thanks again to the Alumni Association and the University of Memphis for this honor. Oh, you know, last but so incredibly important in my life and my brother's life, Keith Kennedy and Beverly Mask. Keith was the first director of theater at the University of Memphis, and he directed, and Beverly was the music director of the Broadway hit musical Hair. I was still in high school, and Keith and Beverly believed in me and my brother and cast us in the roles of course, my brother on bass and me on drums. And while the play was very controversial for its time, I think the play's message, and one that I know Keith was important to Keith to get across to people, was love your neighbor, and it's okay to be yourself. 'Cause still in high school, that was a challenge for me. It was okay to be myself. But the two of them and the University of Memphis helped to create a once-in-a-lifetime experience there. It set me free, and I'm so grateful for it. So thanks again to the Alumni Association and the University of Memphis for this honor and for the dreams you have helped me realize. Thank you.